Well, we'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll do more stories from the African continent. Do stay with us. Nigeria, along with Sudan, South Africa and Senegal, will lead Islamic finance growth in Sub-Saharan Africa. This is according to rating agency Moody's. In a newly published report, Moody's says Islamic finance penetration is very low in Nigeria, but is starting to gain a foothold as the authorities seek to increase banking among the country's large Muslim population. Joining us now to talk more on this report is the author of the report from Moody's, Peter Mushangwe. Thank you very much, Peter, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to viewers.
Now, Islamic banking has made little headway in Africa, yet you see growth on Islamic financing on the continent. What are the major factors that will drive this in Africa?
So we looked at it from the perspective of what could drive the Islamic banking penetration in Africa, which is a continent which is a fairly large Islamic population. And we picked up about four factors that will support the growth of Islamic banking. Firstly, there is enhanced awareness, as you indicated in your introduction. We see, banks training their staff in terms of Islamic banks. The same with the regulators. They are also training their staff. We see, a changing regulatory landscape. And what all this do is that it will enhance the awareness of Islamic products by households and corporates. And this will increase the demand or the penetration of Islamic banking assets. Currently, Islamic banking assets penetration is very low. For example, in Nigeria, it is only about 1% of total banking assets. So this will be one factor that will support the demand for Islamic banking assets. The other factor we look at is improving regulation. Again, related to the awareness, we are also seeing regulators continuously improving the environment of Islamic banking in their systems. An example, again, is in Nigeria, where we have seen a number of directives coming from the central bank about how Islamic banking should be carried out by banks. Again, this is supportive of the general uptake of Islamic banking assets within the continent. The third one is, growing wealth levels. Africa's per capita income is very low, but we do expect it to grow over time. And as people become wealthier, they will demand more banking products. They could be savings products, investment products, or credit products. And as a result of that growth in per capita income or wealth levels, we expect banking services to increase. And the fourth is the large infrastructural gap that we see in Africa. And as I, indicated, the regulatory environment, the awareness, we are seeing sovereigns issuing sukuks, to fill this gap to fund infrastructure.
Now, Nigeria is one of the countries you have mentioned in your report that will lead the growth of Islamic finance in Sub-Saharan Africa. But do you see Nigeria's weak economic condition as an obstacle to this?
In the short term, yes, it will be, an impediment to this growth. We do expect Nigeria's economy to grow by 0.8% next year. And to contract this year, as would be the case with most economies due to the coronavirus pandemic. What this will do in the short term is to reduce the demand of these banking services by corporates and households, but also from the bank side, we will see probably banks becoming more risk averse, so they will tighten their lending criteria, and they will lend less because they will be unwilling to lend or to take risks that may turn into non-performing loans down the line. But when we look at it from Islamic banking perspective, regardless of the slow economic activity that we expect in Nigeria, Islamic banking seem to still have good room to grow because of the low penetration that I talked about earlier.
Now, there are only 2 fully fledged Islamic banks operating in Nigeria. What's your assessment of the performance of these banks?
Yes, we do have, Jay's Bank PLC and Taj Bank as 2 fully fledged Islamic banks. Taj Bank is very new, really, so it is yet to develop its business. But for Jay's Bank, which we believe is, the largest Islamic bank in Nigeria, its performance has been very solid. When we looked at numbers from 2012 to 2019, for example, it has outpaced the growth of conventional banks. Its assets increased by 42% compounded annual growth rate compared to 10% for conventional banks over that period. Deposit again also increased by 75% compared to about 7.7% for conventional banks between 2012 and 2019. Of course, these numbers are growing from a lower base, but we think that to a very large extent, they also indicate, strong uptake of Islamic banking products within the system. And in fact, when we look at other commercial banks that have Islamic windows, or that have services that they offer that are based on Islamic principles, such as Sterling Bank, we also see the same trend, where their Islamic book is growing quite fast. For Sterling Bank, between 2014 and 2019, it increased by 14 times. It now contributes between 10 to 15% of their total profits. So we are seeing this trend where, despite the challenging operating environment for Nigerian banks in general, the banks that have Islamic windows and the Islamic banks are, enjoying quite strong growth.
All right, thank you very much, Peter Mshangwe, for sharing your report with us. Thank you for your time on the show.
Thank you very much.